Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Make a Change. I am your host Katharina Schuster, and today we're going through a quite delicate topic, but it's something that I really wanted to put out there because I think it's important that we talk about this. And I guess you all have said it. I have actually said it myself, and I have heard it many times, and I'm very sure I will hear it in the future. And it is, that looks quite expensive. I need to think about it. Typical, right? So, sorry, my eyes are draining. So, when we look into the psychology behind it, this is actually the most expensively sentence you can say. Because if you're looking at, let's look at like last month. So let's say you went out with your friends, went for dinner, went for some drinks, bought some random clothes, maybe some cosmetics, had a casual Tuesday at a pub, or just invited some friends over, bought some drinks, or went out to a bar. And all of these things, you were really easy to say yes, because it is fun and it doesn't require a high level of commitment. But then when you're actually sitting, you said yes to have a consultation. You're going through the consultation process, which I'm going on a little bit later on. You said yes to all of those things that you want. I want to give you a little bit of an example. So I had this young woman, she went through my landing page, and there are a few steps actually, and then you have to hit the button and actually book in a call with myself, okay? And then in this part, she actually showed up in the Zoom call as well. And we had like an amazing conversation. Like those conversations, they're really not icky, they're not pressure, they're not weird or anything. We're having really an open conversation about fitness goals, about what they have done in the past, where they're feeling stuck, where they need help with, and all of those answers or questions have been answered in a really good way. Like, yes, I do need help with this. I think this is where I feel stuck, and yes, I am ready to make a change. Yes, I'm ready now. Yes, I want to make a change. I don't like myself in the mirror. And then it comes to that level of commitment where the price drop comes. I need to think about it. So in this particular situation, that woman told me actually, look, I have a very tight budget. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's fair enough. And I mean, I'm not sitting here and saying my programs are cheap. They're not. They're actually quite expensive. But I also do give a lot. And when you are following my program and really communicating with me on a daily, on a weekly basis, and we're really shaping the plan that it really fits into your lifestyle, you will get results. And the most important part, you will be educated in how to keep up the results, ideally, for the rest of your life. So in thinking of that, actually, I should make it more expensive, to be honest. So back to that one woman, she told me what she was earning per week. And then she said, this amount is going to her rent, this amount is going to her groceries, all fair. We all need to eat, we all need to have a roof under our head. But then she also said, I do spend $200 to $250 on going out and alcohol. The main goal was fat loss. Do you really think $250 towards alcohol partying will help you to lose the body fat? And she said me, no, it won't. But I also don't want to give it up now. So this is where the conflict is starting. So the problem is actually not the money, because she obviously could afford it. So she could afford spending $250 on alcohol instead of putting, like, actually half of that price is the weekly rate for my coaching. towards, and then she still has the other half. Like, I'm not telling you you have to stop going out and drinking all forever, but if we do want to lose body fat, of course we need to limit it alcohol a little bit, because obviously we need to make a few sacrifices to actually be able to lose body fat. But it doesn't mind we have to completely cut out all the alcohol. Of course, you can have this one glass of wine, or this one she liked drinking vodka. You can have this vodka, long drink, whatever, maybe a cocktail, but maybe one, maximum two, and not the entire bottle. I guess that makes sense, right? It's common sense, right? So, and this is where I just do not really understand how a person makes all the effort getting through all the steps of my application process just to say, no, going out with my friends and drinking alcohol is more important to me. And this is where I just been blown away. I don't have any words for this. So the question I'm asking, okay, that is expensive. When you're seeing that whole number there, yes, that is expensive. But also when you break down the number into, like, there is a deposit and then there are payment plans, right? So we can pay obviously upfront. We can pay with a deposit, and then we can do weekly payments or monthly payments. So we do have actually quite a fair bit payment options, which breaks it down, and suddenly it's actually not that expensive anymore. But I guess this really comes down to priorities as well. So if you have the priority standing in front of your mirror, like literally hating yourself, but you do not want to stop that because it makes you feel good, then we do have not actually a money problem. We do not have necessarily a problem that she won't be able to adhere to a fat loss phase. We do have a mental problem. That mental problem is a lack in self-belief, a lack in trust. The trust to yourself that you are capable of maybe saying no to that last drink at the nightclub, maybe saying no to the second night out of the week, saying no to, I don't know, maybe saying yes to, I am committing to myself to make myself feel better by actually going home and getting a good night's sleep in, instead of going out to minimize my stress management by drinking alcohol, instead of going home, maybe having a cup of tea and going to bed, which would be, in terms of stress management, a lot of more effective. So I do understand the use of alcohol to help with stress symptoms. I actually do like it myself. Drinking a glass of wine. So for me, it's usually I finish work on a Saturday afternoon. Then the rest of the day of the Saturday and the Sunday is my weekend. Actually, on Sundays I often do most part of my filming, but that's okay. So on that Saturday night, I do like to have a glass of white wine or red wine. Actually, I do drink red wine, but I am not drinking the entire bottle. I'm minimizing myself to 1 or 2 glasses if my goal is fat loss, even if not, because it has a lot of negative effects on the body, okay? I just have to say that I am a sports nutritionist, and if I would tell you that's healthy and it's good, that I would be lying. And I guess you know that as well. You don't have to study nutrition to know that. So that is that. So the next part where I want to go in. So when we flip the whole thing around, and let's say I let you go and say, okay, go ahead, think about it. So you think about it, you're saying you're coming back the next week, telling me yes or no, but you actually never come back to me. So you, instead of that, you'll keep jumping from one diet to another. You might see the weight going down on the scales for a little bit, but that's maybe often a masking of maybe a diet that is lower in fiber, lower in sodium, because you maybe realize, okay, I have to cook more meals at home instead of outside, but you're not actually in a true calorie deficit. You just have, because you cooked at home, you have a less sodium content, and maybe even your fiber, depending on your food choices as well. Your fiber is quite low, which reduces the water content of your body, and therefore the weight can go down. So maybe you are in a true calorie deficit that will see the future on what is the pattern on the scales. But if you actually not having those long-lasting results of the scales going down, of the clothes fitting better, the energy levels, the focus, and so on and so forth, then you're actually not in a true calorie deficit. So just because the number is going down or up, it's not really an indicator of progress or degress, okay? So we have to put in a lot of different influences, a lot of different components if we are making true progress. So of course you can educate yourself, but let me tell you, when you're going through schooling to study health science, to study nutrition, you go so much deep into detail, and you actually you learn so much about food, and you learn the whole part of the chemical composition of foods. It's crazy, really interesting, but it's crazy. And this knowledge is exactly where a coach can actually help you to fast track your results, because you, of course, you can educate yourself. We're living of a world of AI, and AI is coming to us faster and faster, and the internet, where we can have a lot of information coming towards us. But if you do not understand this information and don't know how to apply this information into practice, it will prolong. And then you're jumping from keto, you're jumping to fasting, then you're overeating again, then you're going back to fasting, and then you're doing maybe some juicing or lemon juice and cayenne pepper stuff, or whatever the trend is. Starting out about cutting out carbohydrates again, doing endless cardio only to be frustrated, and then you're stacking up on supplements, on fat burners, on supplements that's making just empty promises. And those supplements are not cheap. So you're spending money on money on money on different things that ChatGPT, the internet, and any other AI source may be telling you to do. But in practice, it doesn't make sense, because AI is good, but AI cannot analyze your body. It doesn't know your stress levels and how to manage them. It doesn't know how your lifestyle is. It doesn't know where is your metabolic rate to actually calculate what calories do you need to make sustainable and ongoing fat loss progress. So let me ask you this question again. So is the price that you're paying today into a qualified coach more or less expensive than the cost of ongoing living, jumping from one diet to another, and actually really not seeing the results that you're after? And if you're losing some substantial amount of weight, where we also need to differentiate, is it weight loss or is it fat loss? Because there is a difference which most people actually don't know. So weight loss, that can be anything. Weight loss is usually happening with all of those fat diets, like keto, fasting, any kind of diets where you're cutting out entire food groups, because that puts you in a quite aggressive calorie deficit, hence the weight loss. But what you're losing is actually, again, your fiber and your sodium usually drops. So that is kind of masking that fat loss. And then you're losing a lot of water, because often the food group that is cutting out is everything that has carbohydrates. So when you eat carbohydrates, it's getting stored as muscle and liver glycogen. So it adds water to your weight. But if you're cutting out these carbohydrates, of course that stored water will be flushed out. So hence the number on the scale is getting lower, but it's just the water. It's actually not body fat. And this is exactly where we are moving towards skinny fat. Skinny fat, you're looking slim, but you still actually have a quite high body fat percentage for your frame, basically, if that makes sense. So again, so what is more expensive? The price you're paying today in actually education and having true progress and going away from food noise and into food freedom, or the cost of ongoing living and maybe still being at square one by the end of the year. So I want to go back again to the main part. So when you're saying to me or to any other coach that you actually booked in a consultation with, to tell, oh, I need to think about it, or it is quite expensive, I need to discuss with my partner. So these excuses are basically a coverage for the true objection. So the true objection is you not believing in yourself that you actually can do it. So when you put your own history back, like you have done diets, you have tried to lose the weight, you have done so many things on your own and said, oh, I need to do it on my own, I can do it on my own, but yeah, well, you're not really getting anywhere. So you did do it on your own, you did follow some sort of program, nutrition protocol, training protocol, and let's say you did see results, but then holidays came up, workload increased, maybe your kid got sick, anything else happened in your life. All of those situations, which are very normal in life, and they can truly happen, there will be getting you off the rails, okay? So because that one plan that you have maybe of ChatGPT, that ChatGPT plan doesn't tell you how to navigate around the stressful situation, around what to do when my kid is sick, how do I stay on track, how do I keep my nerves together, because obviously if your child is sick, you maybe get sick as well, and also it stresses you out because it is your child. And then when workload goes up and up and up, of course you don't want to disappoint your boss, because this is how you make your money. And you're gonna go on holidays, and you do want to enjoy your holidays, like myself included. I love enjoying my holidays. I love to eat different foods, tasting different flavors, having a few cocktails. I love doing that stuff. But there is a way of how we can actually navigate around all of these situations and not coming back home from the holidays, not getting off that high stress levels from work, not falling off the rails or having 10 kilograms more after those holidays, or 5 kilograms more. I don't want to exaggerate here. There is a way of how we can navigate these things. And yes, it requires work. But if you put in this work and be patient with the progress, you will be winning. You will be able to actually maintain your dream body for the rest of your life. If you're willing to put in the work, following evidence-based programs, and like discussing with a knowledgeable person who actually knows what they're doing and getting it in, because that will actually save you money in the end, because you're not spending money on bullshit again, on any supplements making you any promises, on any collagen, green powders, whatever bullshit. You actually have a knowledge that helps you to like not really bouncing back to square one, to enjoy the foods you love, like have that bread with, I don't know, for me it's a sloppy white bread with Nutella. That's my absolute favorite. Or like one of those chocolate croissants. I love these things. And I am eating I always put them out away from my diet, because I always labeled it as bad food. And like it was like restricted in my head, that no, this is bad food, I can't eat it. And that makes me wanting it even more and more and more, which got me actually into a binge eating and very disordered eating patterns. Once I have learned that, and it took me like over 5 years to learn this. So there is quite of a timeline to actually learn these behaviors. But now I am like rocking my goals, achieving my goals. And most of my clients, they are exactly the same. They're coming to me it's funny because like I'm kind of attracting a lot of clients. They have a similar background like me, or a similar dieting history like me. And all of these women, as well as men, not so much. I do have male clients, but mainly it's those women because they're women a little bit more emotional. They open up more emotionally. And they are coming to me and telling me all the story, and they say, yes, I can relate because I have been there, and I can promise you I can help you to get out of there because I have done the walk. I'm not only talking, I have actually done the walk. I've gone from disordered eating patterns, from overweight to a bodybuilding show, back to a psychologist, and now living into food freedom, really helping men as well as women to really embrace their own bodies, to like stop hating their bodies, to stop obsessing over food, and actually really enjoying food, enjoying the socializing, and still achieving the fat loss goals. And this, like when those women that I'm working with, when they are achieving this goal and telling me, oh my God, I never thought that this would have been actually possible. That's the absolute greatest reward for me. And in saying that, when we're going back to, oh, that is expensive and I need to think about it, I'm currently working with 27 clients. 3 out of them are males, the rest out of them are women. None of them is particularly rich. They all have quite normal jobs, like they're, can't even remember now. I think one of them is actually a psychologist, but everyone, like the other one is a chef. We got a few office workers, like really regular jobs, and half of them actually have children as well. So, and they all said yes. So I don't believe that the price is actually the problem. The problem is you and your limiting self-beliefs in yourself. So what I really can just put down here, obviously I cannot force you, but if you do work with a coach that really gives a damn about you, a coach that you align with you and your values, someone who is really qualified and is able to educate you, because anyone can give you a program, anyone can write up a meal plan, write up a training plan. That's not really that difficult. Writing a good plan and having a nutrition plan that actually has all the macros and micros dedicated to your body, yes, that is more specific and that is not something that everyone can do. But when you find a coach that's really like, you really be in one line with that person, I would just say yes. So I was working with a coach because I needed someone who was more experienced than myself to get over it was not about fat loss or muscle building, because about these things I'm very knowledgeable myself. It was really about the psychology in my head, and also a lack of belief in myself, as well as my disordered eating patterns. So with that, I really needed help. So I was working actually in a collaboration with a psychologist and a nutritionist. So that nutritionist I was working with, she's a friend these days. I actually have a podcast with her, so you can find it just here. So I don't have a podcast with her, so it's I interviewed her for one of my episodes. And yeah, she was actually my coach, and she helped me to really get out of my disordered eating patterns. And I also worked with a psychologist, and as I said, it took me over 5 years, but now I'm good, and it was the best investment in my life, because now I'm not spending any money on, or I don't need to spend any more money on a coach, because I have really solved the core of my problem. And this is basically what I want to leave you here with it. So the next time, if you're making the effort to really sit down for a coach, or like actually going all the way and booking in a call with someone, then really be not only honest to that person, but really honest to yourself. So is it really the money? Is it really the time? Or not being ready yet, or it's not the right time now, or I need to think about it, or I need to talk to my partner? Is it really that, or is there something more behind it? So, and this is the question I really want you to ask yourself, because this is your true objection. So in this case, I hope it was not too harsh, but I think this is something I really wanted to get off my chest, not to like putting myself down as like I'm being great and everything and everyone should be signing up with me. This is not what I'm saying here. But what I'm saying is you doing all the effort to actually sit down with a professional only to say no. There's more behind it. So, and before you book in your next consultation with a professional, really think about why you are going to do there. Why are you going to do all the way to meet this person, to have a conversation about your goals? And in this case, I am leaving you with this, and I hope you did enjoy this episode, and maybe it did help you or opened up your eyes. And yeah, so I will see you in the next episode. And my name is Katharina Schuster. Please head over to my Instagram, Katharina Schuster Coaching. I'm giving very much education based on evidence around nutrition, around exercise on a daily basis, like 2 to 3 posts a day, literally. But also, if you wanna book in or have just like a chat with me, just hit me up in the DMs or comment below what stood out for you. Am I right with it? Am I maybe wrong? What is your opinion on all of these things? So I would love to know. And if you haven't yet, click that subscribe button, because I really want to spread my message about food noise, food freedom, really helping as many people as I can. And yeah, I would really love if I would get your support. Bye.